The Big 12 is officially at 16 teams starting in 2024, and it's arguably the most fun conference in America now. But is Brett Yormark and the Big 12 done when it comes to adding teams to the Big 12? Hey, how's it going, everybody? I am RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And if you haven't already joined one of the most interactive and engaging Big 12 YouTube channels, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button to stay in the know on the latest Big 12 realignment, expansion, and the best when it comes to Big 12 sports betting, the best news when it comes to the Big 12 in terms of the most breaking. And hey, we're going to talk about Texas Tech on here too, as it is a Texas Tech primary channel, but don't get it twisted. We'll talk about the Big 12 as well. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the know right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. All right. In case you missed it, late Friday night, August 4th, the Big 12 officially announced that Arizona State, and Utah are officially in the Big 12 starting next year in 2024. They joined Colorado, which means the Big 12 will be, well, I guess the Big 16, technically, if you want to go by schools and everything like that. And if you want to look at the updated school list, it's at the bottom of your screen right there. But let's look at how this kind of went down. Again, around 8:30 on Friday night, that's when they announced Arizona State, and Utah joining. Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, said this: "We are thrilled to welcome Arizona State, and Utah to the Big 12. The conference is gaining three premier institutions, both academically and athletically, and the entire Big 12 looks forward to working alongside their presidents, athletic directors, student athletes, and administration." Again, Arizona State, and Utah will join the Big 12 next year in 2024, but they join almost a week to the day, technically 8 days, after the Buffaloes of Colorado joined Coach Prime to the Big 12, right? So it's interesting to see how this all went down and everything like that. But if you ask for my take, it's this. This doesn't only feel like the best outcome. It felt like really the only outcome when it came to the four corner schools for the Big 12. You needed to get all four of them, and it really cements yourself as a true power out there on the West Coast if you're the Big 12, which now you can go and focus on the East Coast if you want to, when it seems like inevitably that the ACC will disband as well. So I really like what they've done there. When it comes down to it. But before we get to more news in the Big 12 this weekend, I've asked you guys this before, but there's a lot of new people here on the channel, and I haven't heard from a lot of them, and I'm sure there's some new viewers of this video as well. Let me know what your favorite Big 12 school is. Give me the shout out. I know that we had a couple of Kansas State fans in here. As always, Texas Tech is holding it down with the Wreckhams and everything like that. I also saw a couple of Go Buffs in here. I saw some Arizona State fans, Utah fans. Let me know what your favorite Big 12 school is down in the comments below. All right, let's talk about the early reactions of the Big 12 in terms of what people are saying nationally about it and everything like that. For me, from what I've heard and seen from virtually every fan base, is they're happy to be joining the Big 12. Obviously, there's going to be a couple of loudmouth, quote unquote, bad apples when it comes down to it. But I think that for a majority of the fans joining the Big 12, they're excited to do so. Now, that being said, I have seen some upset Utah and Arizona State fans, but that's here nor there. They were fully invested in the Pac-12. We know that Utah and Arizona State were. And, there's some tweets out there from the Utah athletic director, Arizona State's president, Michael Crow, as well as the AD, Ray Anderson, just had one of the honestly dumbest quotes I've ever heard in my life from an athletic director that just joined the Big 12 or a conference in general. He actually went on to say this. He was asked about, the Big 12 and where they could potentially be traveling to. And Ray Anderson told the media on Saturday he's not going to Morgantown once the Sun Devils join the Big 12. Listen, my take on this is this, simple and plain. The Arizona State president, Michael Crow, and the AD, Ray Anderson, are giving off huge, ungrateful little brother vibes. Like, Robert Robbins in Arizona basically had to drag these guys across the finish line for them not to have to cut a substantial amount of jobs in their athletic department. Not to mention probably cut programs, because when you were looking at it, you're probably going to merge with the Mountain West. And let's face it, you're going to go from making about $30 million a year for media rights to probably, if you're lucky, somewhere around 10. And that's if you're lucky, right? So be grateful, first and foremost, that you're in the Big 12 now. Don't be trying to bash Morgantown. Okay, Morgantown's a great place. I've been there only one time, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time in West Virginia, right? But when it comes down to it, again, be grateful that BY, Brett Yormark, even wanted you in Arizona, who they really, that's who their main target was. The Big 12 was Arizona because, again, basketball is a big deal. There's obviously the football, baseball side of it, overall viewpoint of how it's perceived nationally, right? But they carried them across the finish line. And I'm not trying to get mad at Utah. That's not nor here nor there. Their AD has said some stupid stuff on Twitter, but it's fine. He hasn't said anything after the, additions of joining the Big 12 if you're that collective school. For me, it's just one of those things where it's just like, dude, could you be more ungrateful? Could you sound more pretentious in this whole ordeal? Like, what are we doing here? Just be better if you're Ray Anderson in that quote. If you can't tell, I'm passionate about the Big 12, but I want to know how excited you guys are about the new Big 12. Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being RC, I couldn't be excited at all. Like, I'm just not excited about this new Big 12. 10 being RC, this is going to be one of the most fun conferences, if not the most fun conference in America for coming years. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Again, scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you about the new Big 12? All right, before we get out of here, I've talked about this guy quite a bit. Want to give him another huge shout out. Jason Scheer has been on top of this better than virtually anybody when it comes to the realignment aspect of the Big 12, specifically Arizona, Arizona State, and those Pac-12 schools moving to the Big 12. Well, he dropped this on Friday after the news broke of those teams joining the Big 12. And he said this, again, Jason Scheer of Wildcat Authority said there is a real chance that the 2 additions would be basketball only. Yormark is going for the kill. Gonzaga and UConn would just be basketball additions. And there have been discussions in the last 48 hours. A lot of work to work through with that, though. Again, there is potential for Gonzaga and UConn to join as basketball-only schools, according to Jason Scheer. He has been on top of this, as I mentioned. And personally, I'll say this. I think I'd love the additions of Gonzaga and UConn. You go all in on college basketball, okay? When you think about what Brett Yormark has discussed ad nauseum in his press conferences, whether that's at Big 12 Media Day for football or just appearances that he's had in general with the media, he has talked about college basketball and how they are stressing the importance of men's college basketball in the Big 12 because they know, and they have known for a decade plus now, that the Big 12 has been the best basketball conference in America. They want to strengthen that. You go out and you get a blue blood in Arizona, and now you have the potential to add 2 more new blue bloods, as I would call them, in Gonzaga and UConn. If you can do that, there's no question in terms of where you stand in the college basketball landscape. There's zero. Simple and plain. You are the best conference in America at that point. Now, I want to hear from you guys, though. Would you want the Big 12 to add Gonzaga and UConn as basketball-only schools? I think they would obviously take a reduced share. They're not going to be getting football money, but I'd be interested to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Again, do you want the Big 12 to add Gonzaga and UConn as basketball-only schools? Just give me a simple Y for yes or in for no. One more time before we get out of here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and join one of the most interactive Big 12 communities here on YouTube. We're giving you daily videos. Yes, a lot of them will be Texas Tech related, but I promise there will be at least 1 or 2 Big 12 videos a week here on the channel talking about sports betting in the Big 12, as I do work in the sports betting space, and the most breaking news when it comes to the conference in terms of realignment, expansion, and everything in between. We've got you covered right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.